Welcome back, and let's take a look at the new update trailer. Now it's looking to be a Chinese update. There's only 2 Chinese planes in this video, but there are 2 that are pretty much very well requested. We'll just have to see how they pan out, but I just want to give you a little bit of an overview and also announce that if there is a dev server tomorrow, because it mostly drops a day after the update trailer, then I will be streaming it. So I will be going live the second it goes up tomorrow. I don't have any background knowledge like you guys do. This is my speculation, and there is nothing that has been confirmed, even behind screens, because I simply don't know. Now, it is Chinese, and China, or Chinese language actually, I'm very fluent at it right now. I played Black Myth Wukong for 32 hours straight, so of course I learned every word in the Chinese vocabulary. But in all reality, some planes here are pretty interesting. Some of them are a little bit less. And there's the first one, not the Gripen, the one after it, the Chinese Gripen basically. And what we are looking at is, drums please, the J10. Now in this picture right here, it's carrying, I believe, well you can only see 5 now, but 6 PL-12s, 2 PL-8s, pretty good loadout, but it's gonna depend on, of course, the avionics as well as the radar set. Now, as of right now, if we have to go by quote-unquote real-life performance, it is essentially going to be a Gripen on steroids and not a low dose, an absolute metric load of them. Good engine, good wing area, GSH-23, a little bit sussy, it probably doesn't get HMD either, which is going to be a little bit of a limiting factor, but if we have to go by how they modeled the Gripen, and this thing basically being better than it, we might look at a very good plane right here. Might be a little bit AIDS, but hey, time will tell. It can also carry some other missiles. I'm not sure what it's going to get, of course. If you have to go by this picture right here, it's probably what it's going to get. It can also get PL-10s or PL-15s if it's on the J-10C, but I'm not entirely sure which variant this is. I am not very well versed when it comes to real-life Chinese aircraft, because if I'm gonna be honest with you, I haven't heard of this thing until about a week ago when it appeared on the leak list. And normally when leak lists appear, I'm just like, whatever, I'll see when it gets there. And it got here, so we are seeing it right now. Absolutely fantastic. Wait, what's that? That is an HMD, isn't it? But that's not... Oh wait, that's the Swedish one. It's the Dragon. Good plane, pretty bad retention, but it can turn on the spot and breathe fire. Unlimited ammo as well, as long as you keep eating. And then we have the JF-17. Now the JF-17 was probably going to be kind of like the F-16. We'll have to see how it pans out. It looks a little bit like a Frankenstein between multiple top-tier jets. So we'll just have to see. It can either carry PL-5s, PL-12s, or darters. And it gets a GSH-23 as well. The pointed gun it's aiming downwards. Not really a big fan of it, but hey, maybe they'll fix it. Maybe they just accidentally model it wrong so that it's a little bit more usable. But you know, with those kind of things, guys, normally gets it right, unfortunately, which is gonna make it a little bit more annoying to actually hit enemy planes. Why do they do that? I am not entirely sure. Now, they might be PL-5s and PL-12s under the wings here. I'm not entirely sure. It's hard to tell. There's another shot right here. And again, I'm not too well versed in these Chinese planes. I don't play them a lot. But this might be a good introduction vehicle for like stopgap between top tier and like mid-top tier, kind of like 12.0. Right now, there's really no other reason to just grind up till the J7E. Until you get the Su-27 variants, the J11s, which are essentially just worse Su-27s that we already have in the Russian tech tree. Why are they worse, you might ask? Well, they are simply heavier, and the later one, the one with the active radar homing missiles, also can only guide one missile at the same time. So it's a little bit of a handicap. But this might fly like an F-16, we'll have to see. I can't give you any guarantees right now. Then, a little bit later, we are going to be taking a look at the A-10C. Now, it's the same plane basically, but it has a targeting pod and it has guided bombs, laser guided bombs. Now we are also looking at something else here. You see the little crosses? Now this might be that we are looking at ground-based data link, so someone can laser target and you can drop your bombs, get out of there, and the bomb will just keep on flying. Now this would be great. The issue is that it's still an A-10, they still have Panzers, and you still have to get close enough to actually drop the bomb. Are you going to climb all the way to orbit with your plane that goes 600 kilometers an hour in a straight line after straight lining it for 200 years? No, you're probably just going to get shat on. It's just going to be super viable. Time will tell. But the Mavericks just give it a little bit more range, meaning you don't have to get as close to the battlefield, meaning you're not going to get shot down by a kid with a slingshot. So, a little bit of a trade-off, but we'll have to see. I like the plane, I like A10s a lot, but for ground RB and air RB, this thing is probably going to be a higher BR as well. It's not going to be all that fantastic. Then we have some boats that I honestly, even if I cared, I don't know which boats these are. It's probably rowing boat 1, 2, 3, and 4 with some gun strap. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be condescending. I just really, I have zero invested time in researching ships, other than a certain other game that some of you might know, but that's something that we're not going to disclose on this channel. Then we have the F111F. Now the F111F is, it's a bomber, but it's heavier. It gets slightly better engines, or better engines actually, than the F11 that we already have in the game. But the main thing here is, does it get better missiles? Because right now the F111A is probably one of the worst planes that you can fly in aerobie. It's super hot, it guzzles fuel, it has AIM-9Bs, and you can go from Mach 1.2 to 550 kilometers an hour in a 180. Without dropping throttle, without using flaps, without doing anything. Full afterburn, trying to conserve speed as you turn it as hard as possible. Now those things of course don't really go hand in hand, but this flight performance is absolutely abysmal, even for a bomber. As of right now, you can basically not even correct your course a little bit if you're trying to bomb something, because you're going to lose so much speed that you're just going to die and get missiled. Because of course you have the F-14 engines, which are hot as hell, and if you have to maneuver whatsoever, you're basically dead. The acceleration isn't there, maneuverability isn't there. It was already kind of struggling, and then they went ahead and nerfed it even more. So I hope that this thing at least gets better missiles, because it is going up in BR simply because of the better performance. And the F11A is already absolutely dreadful to fly. Now I'm not entirely sure what it could get. I'm, again, also not very well versed in bombers. I asked some people. Some people said that it might carry AIM-9Js, and of course AIM-9Js are not going to be fantastic. Hopefully it gets AIM-9Ls, but we're not entirely going to be sure if it actually is eligible to get those. Then we have a full automatic hazy cannonmobile. That's a Dutch flag, I guess. Absolutely fantastic. Poggers, if you may. And then we have the Su-24. Now the Su-24 is, it's good for Russian guided close air support. Flight performance, it's probably gonna be like the F111, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. But it might get R73s or R60Ms. Now, which one do I rather get? I am not entirely sure. Depending on the BR actually. Like the R73s are great and all, and they might kind of carry this plane to a point where it's flyable, but at the same time it's probably gonna bump the BR by a full 1, maybe even more. Which means that you're gonna fight even harder aircraft and more people that know how to flare IRCCM missiles. So I'd rather just have a missile that is a little bit worse, but has, I'm not gonna say the same performance relatively to the other aircraft, but you know what I'm saying. Slightly worse missile. Yes, it's a much worse missile, but if everyone knows how to defeat the R73, is it really that much better? Because of course you're probably not going to get HMD, you're not going to be able to get off-board shots, and the R73 is infinitely better than the R60M. Do not get me wrong, I'm not trying to tell you that the R60M is either very good or that the R73 is a terrible missile. I hope that it's clear what I'm trying to say. Su-24, good guided gas, massive bombs, massive missiles, but yeah, I'm not looking forward to this, other than the fact that it has a GSH-23 6-barrel Gatling gun. Now that is something that I like, just like with the MiG-27s, where it gets the 6-barrel GSH-30, which I absolutely adored. But of course this gun is gonna still feel like a water pistol, but just with a higher fire rate. Which means it's gonna shoot even more water, which means that you might actually drown your enemy this time. Of course the damage is pretty good, the main issue is the velocity and the ballistics of the gun. I mean, that's essentially it, other than the P-16. Now, I'm not entirely sure what this plane is going to be like. It kind of looks like a P80, and I'll like rock up the... Where is it? So I have another picture for you here. It kind of looks like an attacker. It kind of looks like a P80. It's there's no more shots than this. It's gonna be Swiss, of course. There's only 5 built, but it gets some pretty good things here. We have a pretty decent engine and something pretty rare. These are the guns that you find on the Sagittario, the Ariete, and what's the other one? I forgot. There's another plane that uses these. It's the other Sagittario, I think. But it doesn't get any guided missiles, and I'm not entirely sure if it gets flares, and I don't think it does. And what is this plane? Well, it's looking like a ground pound plane. It's close air support. And if it's a close air support plane, and it doesn't have missiles, it doesn't have flares, it might just go to tier 5. It might just be a close air support plane, a strike fighter if you may. And then you get an air spawn. An air spawn with 1100 meters a second, 30mm guns with 120 rounds per gun. It has 2 guns. Other than that, you don't have much. So we have to just pray to God that this thing is going to get a pretty favorable BR. And if it does, together with an air spawn, it might actually be a little bit of a cook. Now, I'm not going to say that this thing is going to be fantastic, but looking at the wing shape, looking at the fuselage, it has a pretty decent engine. If we are going to get an attacker with actual trust, with pretty damn good guns, if it gets an air spawn, count me in. I'm going to eat those words. It's going to be an absolute shit brick when it releases. I already know, but I can pray that I don't have to fly an absolute shit brick for content. And other than that, it's just the same old. Now, I'm not entirely sure about the ground units. We'll look at those tomorrow in the stream if they actually go and get the dev server out. I'm not entirely sure. We'll see when we get there, as I say all the time. But that is my quick rundown. I hope it wasn't too incoherent. I just came back from the gym. I was about to go to bed, basically, and then they dropped this stinker on us. The stinker that actually smells pretty good. Am I excited? Cautiously, because you know, it's always a dangerous game to be excited about War Thunder stuff. But, you know, at least there's some new stuff. I'm mostly dreading this shit brick together with the SU-24. We'll have to see how they add it. At least it's swing wing, so maybe if we fold the wings out, it's gonna actually retain some energy, right? Yeah, no, I can pray. Yeah, we'll have to see. You might see me out tomorrow. And otherwise it's gonna be either Saturday or Monday, depending on how much time I have. Because this weekend I am absolutely packed. Thank you all for watching. Feel free to discuss it in the comments. I'll try to answer as much as I can. As long as I can. Thank you all for watching, and you'll see me in the next one.